Good afternoon and welcome to Innovation for Food Systems Impact with Food Systems 6. This is the complimentary kickoff program to the second annual Regenerative Food Systems Investment Forum. My name is Sarah De Levesque and I am Director of Regenerative Food Systems Investment, an initiative working to facilitate education about investment in regenerative agriculture and food, as well as build relationships and networks that will further the development of this emerging investment opportunity. Last year in Oakland, California, we gathered 200 investors, entrepreneurs, and food systems leaders for the inaugural Regenerative Food Systems Investment Forum. The energy and synergies amongst the attendees were palpable, and we could tell it was the beginning of something really special. Of course, we had no idea that 2020 would alter the world in so many ways and make an in-person gathering impossible this year. Despite this, we are super excited to gather this incredible community together virtually this week and to welcome so many people from all over the world and from across the food system to our community. We know there is tremendous power in face-to-face gatherings, and we have done our best to design a program today and over the next 3 days that brings together the things that make any gathering excellent. That's great content, valuable connections, and leaving with a feeling of purpose. Today's program is just what we need to kickstart these goals. Now it gives us great pleasure to be kicking off this year's forum with an incredible program brought to you by Food System 6, our 2020 innovation partner. Innovation for Food System Impact is a 2-hour program designed to share some of the incredible work that entrepreneurs are doing across different areas of food and agriculture. Prepare to be inspired. You'll have an opportunity to listen to each entrepreneur and ask questions. And at the end, we will wrap up with some small group networking that will allow you to interact with entrepreneurs, investors, and many other food systems leaders that are joining us today. To guide us through the next part of our program, I'm very happy to introduce Cesare Assad, CEO of Food System 6. Cesare, thank you for being here and for leading us through this program.
There we go. All right. Thank you so much, Sarah, for the introduction and for the amazing opportunity to join here and to speak with everyone. So as Sarah said, my name is Cesare Assad. I'm the CEO of Food System 6. I am joining you all from the Russian River Valley in Sonoma County, currently occupying traditional lands of the coastal Miwok and the Southern Pomo peoples. Really appreciate that everyone's taking this time out to be here to learn about building a more socially responsible and vibrant food system and what it takes to build a business through these extraordinary times, which I do not need to say too much more about. Before we do talk about Food System 6, as you can see, by my background, it's a smoky situation, and I really just want to take a moment to pay gratitude to the heroes of our food system, to the farm workers, to those who are out there in the fields every day, battling against the heat, the smoke, the pandemic. We know farm workers are being exploited, marginalized even further by these crises. And it's something that we all need to address together. And so this is really just a call and an invitation to learn more about what's happening with the devastating fires and to seek out organizations that you can support who are directly supporting farm workers. Please reach out to us. We are happy to provide direction on that. As part of that, it's really an opportune time to talk about some of the great solutions. And as Sarah said, there are many. It's a pleasure to introduce a little bit more about our work at Food System 6. We're a nonprofit that's focused on building a more socially responsible, equitable, vibrant food system. And we work with entrepreneurs in a formal business accelerator, as well as through other types of programming and in partnerships. And we also work to educate stakeholders just like this on the many opportunities to engage in this mission. Since we launched our first cohort back in 2016, our portfolio of entrepreneurs has raised over 40 million in blended capital. We have almost a 90% survival rate in our portfolio currently. And we've been able to feel a great amount of support from a number of different stakeholders. We have tremendous funders that include Sustainable Foodies, the Clarence Heller Foundation, Overbrook Foundation, the OVO Fund, Susan and David Rockefeller, corporations like Huhtamaki. We have partners like First Course Capital who have, in addition to providing a safe note to all of the companies in cohort 5, offer their pro bono support and collaboration. And that's really what, FS6 is about. It's about building a community of folks who are looking for creative ways to collaborate and to really get work done in the food system. We're focused on supporting doers and makers who are building an infrastructure that really create a more equitable food system. And a crucial component of making these structural changes happen come from conversations like this. So creating a space for entrepreneurs to engage with other folks and really creating an opportunity to amplify their impact together. So part of what we're looking for today is the opportunity for us all to think about ways we can invest, deploy our resources in rich, vibrant ecosystems. And this is really what you're going to hear about, not from me, but about these tremendous and wonderful entrepreneurs. So without further ado, I'll stop rambling and transition to the meat of the conversation, at least to start with. We will be fielding questions, and we have a few that we will offer, but please do put your questions in the chat function, and I'll be looking at those and, juggling through a few things here, including time. But we'll really try to just create a robust conversation. And, the opportunity here is really that. This is a conversation, it's a presentation, and we hope that you will enjoy. So to start with, I'm going to introduce our first entrepreneur, Jacqueline Smith, as she talks about the land, the people who farm it, and the animals that we care for.
Growing up in the Midwest, I saw firsthand how changes to our food system changed our communities. When farmers started growing monoculture crops, what we used to grow right in our backyard started being shipped in from other countries. And as we watched this shift in our food system become industrialized, we saw opportunities for small farms dry up. When I started raising sheep in Kansas, it was a way to create a more just food system and bring new opportunities to the Midwest. At first, it just felt natural to me to try to raise my flock using nature's inherent ability to nourish itself. Then I started to see really amazing things happening. I saw once quiet and dry pastures blooming with life and an abundance of emerging ecosystems. This type of farming, now the foundation of everything we do at Central Grazing Company, protects all life, from the field mouse to the winged predator, and it recognizes that each thing in the ecosystem is just as necessary and important as the other. Central Grazing Company works every day to build traceable local and regional supply chains. And we only partner with small independent farmers that pay close attention to their soil and raise their flocks using the highest animal welfare standards. This type of farming heals. It heals our community, it heals our health, it heals our earth. It gives us all a better way of life. When you support Central Grazing Company, you are supporting small farms and businesses who in turn are supporting nature's strength and resilience. Join us.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Smith, and I am the founder and CEO of Central Grazing Company. I'm also a first-generation sheep farmer in Kansas. At Central Grazing Company, our regenerative farming practices produce food and fiber that respect the people working the land, the animals we care for, and the planet that sustains us all. I grew up in the Midwest, and I saw firsthand how changes to our food system have changed our farming communities. What used to grow right here started being shifted from other countries. And as this shift became more industrialized, we saw whole and diverse ecosystems change into monoculture deserts. Farms became untraceable global corporate businesses. Animals that used to graze in pasture lands and in woodlands were moved into buildings as a way to create efficiencies and to prohibit competition. Opportunities for small farmers dried up, which created barriers of entry that make it impossible for farming to be a career choice. Also, this shift, as we have seen, has left whole Midwestern communities devastated. We are changing this. Central Grazing Company partners directly with small, independent, and diversified farms in the heartland. We care about the land we steward and believe that each being in the ecosystem is just as important and necessary as the other. We farm with nature, caring for the tiniest microbe in the soil to the winged predator. We raise our lambs on pasture, socially and naturally, their entire lives. Central Grazing Company gives farmers incentives to raise their lambs using these very high standards. Also, this new opportunity brings new resources, innovation, and infrastructure into rural communities, creating jobs and lowering the barrier of entry for new and beginning farmers. We founded Central Grazing Company in 2015. That year, we harvested lambs from 2 farms in Missouri. We have seen really strong and steady growth over the past 5 years. That this year we will be harvesting lambs from 7 farms in Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Iowa. The demand for our products have grown year over year. COVID-19 has shined a new light on the animal food industry. Consumers are searching for better meat, and they are shopping brands they trust. We know that the effects of COVID, as well as consumer awareness, are here to stay, especially as we learn to live with climate change and all the unknowns the pandemic have created. Demand for Central Grazing Company's lamb has proven that it's going to continue to grow as a shift in consumer awareness. We harvest our lamb into food and fiber. We sell individual cuts of lamb to grocery store retailers, food service, and direct to consumer. Our vegetable tan leather is fabricated into heirloom handbags and sold on our website, or to brands such as Patagonia that they use for trim pieces or other small leather goods. We have established long-term relationships with grocery and food retailers in 26 states. Our extremely high farming standards have allowed us to win retail shelf space over our competitors. On top of our grocery and food retail relationships, we have also established a national direct-to-consumer market through Amazon and through our Lamb Box subscription program that is sold on our website. Our leather line was launched in 2018, and so far we sell the heirloom handbags through our website. We have also had product development with brands such as Eileen Fisher and product placement with Patagonia. Our farm and our partnerships are proving that ecology and economy must be in harmony, and that caring for the earth and all who live on it can be a successful business model. We aggregate lamb exclusively from 100% grass-fed and animal welfare approved by Greener World Farms in the Midwest. This certification stipulates how the animal and the soil are cared for and communicates to our consumer our deep care for the earth. We sell our food and fiber directly to retail, grocery, food service, and direct to consumer from our fully integrated dropship warehouse located in Kansas. We partner directly with small, independent, diversified farmers in the heartland because we believe that a strong, healthy ecosystem also means building a strong and healthy regional economy. Because of our direct market business structure, we are able to put more money back into the hands of the farmers, and our contributions to a growing regional economy are able to create economic development for the Midwest, something that is desperately needed to keep the next generation of farmers farming. The Central Grazing Company team experience ranges from shepherding to designing, manufacturing, marketing, and logistics. Also, Central Grazing Company works closely with state and local policymakers to help reform our regional and local food system in Kansas. Since 2015, we have been focusing on proving that a regional and regenerative lamb program can be successful. We are proud to say, and with confidence, that we are now ready for the next phase of our development. Growing our food and fiber business will greatly increase our gross margins and allow us to scale our operation, which will create lasting holistic stewardship of the entire ecosystem that we farm. Currently, we are raising a round of blended capital. With $1.5 million of this investment, we will expand our land and flock infrastructure to to streamline our breeding schedule, and to hit our projected sales targets as we scale. We're also seeking $900,000 for scaling our capacity and building a strong, knowledgeable, and passionate team to achieve our ecological and business goals. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn more about what we do. I look forward to answering your questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. I know that I love just hearing about your work, and it's great to see some questions coming in. I guess maybe just to kick us off, could you tell us more about the regional food system that you're building, the key aspects and people needed to revitalize a human and animal ecosystem? Share your vision with us.
Sure. We're really focusing on sourcing lambs from Midwestern farmers, and we're looking directly for diversified and regenerative farming, or farmers in the Midwest who already have established diverse markets. And what we're offering these farmers are a new opportunity in the market to kind of scale. Our partnerships with our farmers, we want to scale definitely for the capacity of the land and the animals and the people that can handle. By creating this network of farmers, we're able to kind of decentralize where all of the food is going to, and creating like robust ecosystems within economies in the rural communities. Some of the key parts that we need are already farmers that are established in the market who are looking to expand their market reach, and then also for the infrastructure of these small communities, as we've all experienced, that processing and harvesting is the real bottleneck for a lot of producers, especially now when we're facing this new crisis with climate change and the pandemic that's created. So working within communities to kind of scale up the communities, looking for those stakeholders within the communities that are already producing regenerative farming practices, and working with them to kind of scale the whole community up into being able to take this new opportunity that we have in the Midwest.
So can you dig into that a little bit more, sort of for an investor audience, and talk about kind of the entry points to invest in a regional economy with an ecosystem focus, and just a little about the opportunity you see today with relationship to that?
Yeah, I think the relationship with the investor is really the key thing that we're looking for. I mean, all the entrepreneurs that we're going to hear from today are really working diligently to kind of create a better world for which we all need to kind of move towards. And this pandemic has really showed us where those fractures in our food system are. And when we start having relationships with investors that already come to the table realizing that the return on their investment is greater than just financial, that it also involves like regenerating the earth, regenerating the communities which we are farming, and regenerating the animals and all of the whole entire ecosystem. We can look at money as part of that, that tool that helps guide the direction that we're moving in. We have stronger relationships. And so for us specifically, we want to have a whole network of partnerships who can help us work with nature instead of against nature. And nature moves in a very slow way. And so when we stop allowing the soil and the farmers to take all the risk, and diversify that risk out a little bit so that we can allow the farmers to actually steward the land in a way that allows them to have a slower return on their investment so that the soil can regenerate. As we all know, the industrialized investment cycle that we're in extracts from our soil. And when we start thinking about new ways of investment, we have to think about how do we regenerate the soil within investments. And I'm really proud of all these entrepreneurs that I've been working with for this last year, because we're all proving that we can have a successful business that takes care of the entire ecosystem, and that business and the ecosystem can work together.
So, I mean, an audience question based on that, I think from Katrina, which is, if you're using regenerative and making money, what are the real barriers that are stopping others, which I know it's hard to see the forest through the trees when you're doing it, but you're a leader in the work. So, what are the barriers that are stopping others from really raising animals with regenerative and humane scale in mind?
Well, I can speak only about the Midwest. This is where I'm from. This is where I live. And there is a real knowledge of a lack of opportunity here. We don't have the infrastructure built in the Midwest to really allow farmers, even diversified farmers, to kind of move out of the farmer market level into really having creative and long-lasting impact on the food system, because the infrastructure doesn't exist here. And that includes market opportunities. And so investing in companies like Central Grazing Company that is looking for ways to kind of network within communities and grow communities from the ground up with community stakeholders is how we start to develop those infrastructures.
And I guess one more sort of question, I think, before we pivot out is a little bit on the farming side. How are you identifying and defining what healthy ecosystems and potential partners are? How do you define that for yourself?
Yeah, well, we rely heavily on the animal welfare approved by A Greener World certification. I've been an animal welfare approved farmer since 2008 with a previous farming venture that I had. And now I was able to transition that label over into Central Grazing Company. It's a very important label to me because my heart is really on making sure that the animals have the highest level of welfare. And that also means to me that the soil is taken care of, because you cannot have high animal welfare and deplete the soil at the same time. They have to go hand in hand. And as this idea of regenerative farming kind of grows and becomes stronger in the United States, we're seeing different labels coming out to help us really define what regenerative farming is. And it's still in its infancy as far as being able to communicate that to the consumer level without the confusion that goes on with new labels, but it's happening. And I think when you start as a consumer looking at where to buy your food, it becomes really clear with some of these labels who's taking care of the soil and who's taking care of the animals. And it's, we're looking, like I said, we're looking for farmers who already are doing regenerative farming and can't have the scalability for moving into new markets. And we're just providing those established farmers already access to a market.
Wonderful. Well, Jacqueline, thank you so much. I hope that everyone is taking notes because, as you can tell, these are going to be quite substantive conversations. We are already moving on to our next entrepreneur and really appreciate you taking time to just share about your amazing work with us today, Jacqueline. And we'll be sharing out ways that folks can follow up, get in touch, and also just, again, recap this conversation as the start to a wormhole that everyone is going to be able to go down a little bit today. So it is my pleasure now to transition to introducing our next speaker. I'm introducing Lindsay Lester-Shute, and I'm gonna just let her work speak for itself. It's just an incredible body of work and an entrepreneur who's really shown what lifelong commitment to serving farmers, farm workers, and the land really looks like. So without further ado, let's hear from Farm Generations Co-op.
At Grown By, we are farmers who love what we do.
There's nothing in the world that I'd rather do than be out here on this farm.
It's something that's in my blood, and my family has been farming for generations.
Farming connects me to my family. Farming connects me to people all over the world. Farming connects me to humanity.
The best part is bringing the harvest home.
I love seeing parents from my son's school. My elderly neighbor, the guy who fixed our truck, they all get food from us, and it makes me feel like what I'm doing is really meaningful to them and their families. and to the community.
Farm because it gives my community access to healthy food.
Direct relationships are at the heart of our work. That's why we're building Grown By, farmer-owned software that networks farmers and consumers together. It makes it easy to buy and sell directly from the farm.
It's been great growing our little CSA with Grown By.
As a cooperative, you'll be an owner along with farmers from across the country.
Small farms are what's going to keep this world going.
We need thousands, hundreds, millions of new small growers.
Your work is essential to the nation, and our work is to show us how essential we are to each other. Learn more at grownby.app. Hello, my name is Lindsay Lesher-Shute, and I am the founder and CEO of the Farm Generations Cooperative. Before starting Farm Generations and Grown By, the product that we're going to be talking about today, I spent the last decade co-founding and then leading the National Young Farmers Coalition. My husband and I also own and operate Hardy Roots Farm, an 1,000-member CSA farm serving the Hudson Valley and New York City region with organic vegetables. This last century saw unprecedented change in agriculture in the United States. Probably the most dramatic shift is the loss of millions of farms, and the trend continues. Between 2007 and 2012, the U.S. lost 67,000 farms. Amid COVID-19, a lot of Americans are suddenly sitting up and saying, where does my food come from and where is it? They're realizing that a consolidated food system is incredibly risky. This is not going to be a surprise to any of you. A consolidated food system is not resilient. A consolidated food system has major issues with labor, with food safety, issues with pollution, loss of biodiversity, loss of wildlife habitat, and precious soil. The list goes on. Farms like mine, small, community-oriented farms, focused on sustainability, are truly the alternative to the model. The question is, can they survive in this modern food system, and can they scale to meet the need? The truth is, farms like mine are incredibly tough to run, and that leads to a low income for many of the farmers who run them. Our day-to-day list is daunting. We're taking care of production, getting seeds in the ground, keeping them watered, cultivating the soil around, harvesting those plants, those fruits under food safety guidelines, getting the products in our cold storage, out of the cold storage, into a refrigerated truck and down 100 miles south to New York City. We're managing a crew of 17 year-round. We are complying with rules at every single level of the government, and we're running a business. So there's no question why sales and marketing are always at the end of our list. The modern farmer isn't just growing food, they are competing with the grocery store. That's why we're building Grown By. Grown By is bringing the best sales and logistics technology to the small farm community and growing a network of consumers who are eager, especially now, to buy local. Right now, there are 114,000 farms in the United States that could immediately benefit from Grown By, and 7.5 million consumers at least who are already buying local. Grown By stands out amongst our competitors because we are the only cooperative, right? So we are building software that is very innovative, high quality, easy to use, and we can guarantee a level of fairness that nobody else can. Our users aren't just anybody. Our users are equity owners. They're members of the cooperative. Our accomplishments so far, so we have a beta in production. 18 farms are using it now. They've sold over 1,000 CSA subscriptions, and we have another 185 farms on our wait list. The centerpiece of Grown By is a consumer and farmer app. It's kind of like Airbnb. Everyone is a consumer, and some people are also farmers, so they're marketing their products online. We also have a logistics app as well as a point of sale for in-person transactions. Our pricing model is by far the best on the market, and again, farmers, because they're members, they get dividends at the end of the year. We are farmers working together for our mutual success. Along with me on the leadership team is Ravi Kumar Ramanathan, bringing decades of experience in tech, e-commerce, and AI, building out our internal engineering team. We have unique partnerships with the National Young Farmers Coalition, and it's network of 150,000 farmers, as well as leading farmers market organizations. So our outlook. So this is just for the United States. We anticipate that we'll have 15,000 farms that will be signed up by year 5, as well as 7.5 million consumers who will be regularly buying food on Grown By. This will net us $13.6 million annually. And again, this is just the US. We intend to bring this to an international audience once we get it right here. So one of the coolest things about Grown By is we are doing right by our farmers. Over 5 years in dividends, we're going to give $3.6 million back to the farm community. And to get there, we are raising right now $3.7 million to help us finish our product, to help us bring on the team we need for sales and support. So what is our impact? Obviously, we care a lot about farmers. We don't want to lose one more. We want to stabilize this farm economy and bring thousands more producers online. In addition, we are going to disrupt this consolidated food system and create real food security for the United States. So every household will have a network of farmers around them. So in the midst of another crisis, they're not going to be wondering where their food is going to come from. They're going to know the people who are growing it for them and are going to be able to call them up and ask them how they're doing.
Amazing. Well, I'm in. And one of the things obvious about, your work, Lindsay, is just that you're so passionate about it. I think that when when we first saw your application come into FS6, just the model and approach that you're taking, the recognition that we need alternative ownership models, and the fact that, you're willing to grab, many things at the same time that are all very hard and do them is just incredibly amazing. I wonder if you could just tell us how you invest in a cooperative ownership model and just walk us through this process.
Unmute. Okay, great. Thanks, Desiree. It is awesome to have so many people listening today to all of our visions for the food system, and we have such an awesome cohort this year. It feels like a wonderful day to have this culmination of a crazy season. So yes, I would be happy to talk about the Farm Generations Cooperative. So we are a hybrid cooperative, meaning we can receive outside investment in the form of preferred equity shares in Farm Generations. So as many of you are likely familiar with, these shares do not confer voting rights, although it is possible in the future we could have investor member shares. However, we have not done that as of yet. And we do have investor seats on our board of directors for early supporters of the co-op. So preferred shareholders are compensated for their risk with annual cash dividends. At this stage, of course, this is somewhat flexible and would be, of course, mutually agreed upon by the co-op and the investor. Up to this point, we've been very lucky to have a major boost from grants from the U.S. Department of Agriculture and 2 family foundations that have shouldered a significant amount of the early stage risk. So I should probably remind you that a co-op is a different model. It's not, we're not a C Corp, but it has shown remarkable success in agriculture and has immediate resonance with the agricultural community. Many of the cooperatives that are around today have been around for 100 years, and they're delivering gas, electricity, dairy, and more. So this is a tested and durable and proven kind of company.
Thank you. I will continue talking to you about it and still wrapping my mind around it. But, thankfully we have lots more time together. Could you talk a little just about the relationship between Farm Gen Co-op, Grown By, the software solution, and then the National Young Farmers Coalition, which you helped to co-found?
Sure. So the Farm Generations is the cooperative that is building Grown By. So Farm Generations is the actual co-op, Grown By is the product. The National Young Farmers Coalition I co-founded in 2010, and we actually incubated the Farm Generations Cooperative at the National Young Farmers Coalition, and now we're working with the organization to engage their network of about 150,000 individuals.
Okay, got it. And And so far, as you're going through this, what have you found that farmers and consumers are most excited about with Grown By?
Yeah, so farmers are excited to have appropriate and powerful tools to save them time and drastically simplify their sales channels, which right now an average farm will use 3 to, I don't know, 10 different platforms to sell their products because they are not unified. So this will be a major advancement. Farmers are also excited about a community of consumers that we're looking to bring to the farm through the Grown By platform. And the idea of a cooperative is very exciting to them as well, to own the software, to be part of the company as an equity owner. This takes a significant amount of risk out of joining a platform like this. We've had several companies that have engaged in the space that have at the last minute or for whatever reason their business model has changed. They have left some farmers high and dry. So I think farmers are looking for an alternative. They're looking for a company that they can really invest in and be part of. And then on the consumer side, I can tell you from our customers this season, and particularly now in COVID, consumers are more than ever looking to buy local, looking to find someone that they can trust to provide their food and have that feeling of security. And they want to make it easy. Like the convenience factor is a challenge for local food, and Grown By is looking to solve that for many consumers who are new to this world of buying from a local farm, buying a quarter animal, whatever it might be.
Thank you. And I will get to, there's some good audience questions coming in, but could you talk a little, Lindsay, about, really the kind of the role in technology in the future of farming and how you see that supporting small to mid-sized farms? And, we're all up to speed on the issues with technology and making it accessible. So, how do you really see the role of technology for small to mid-scale farming, and sort of where are we based on, your perspective and where you sit?
Yeah, thanks for that. So Farm Generations as a cooperative, we have a broad vision, and that is to make farming viable and to apply fair technology to making that possible. So right now, there is a real lack of appropriate technology for small and mid-sized farms that are serving a regional market. And there have been some developments, but it's not nearly where it needs to be to handle the degree of risk and change that farmers are experiencing right now in light of climate change and in light of market changes overall. Specific to Grown By, this product that we're working on, we are seeing, of course, and particularly now, so much food purchasing shifting online. So it is simply critical that farmers are not left behind. And overall, we've seen a plateau in local food purchasing over the last decade or so. And I believe that bringing farmers online, bringing local food online, really making a deep connection there and solving that will finally help to break through that and build some long-term food security for the country.
Thank you. I want to pivot. I think, this will be the last question we have time for, but it's come up a few times. And I think, the question of like, why aren't other people doing this? And, what getting back into some of like what the real barriers are, which, I think my response is like, well, we have a bunch of entrepreneurs right here who are doing it. And that is quite frankly, that is where we're at, right? We have so many people who are pushing in a lot of ways. And I think we're starting to realize the potential of different types of entities in sort of building connection, but specifically, regenerative agriculture, co-op model, why isn't everyone doing it? And what are the big challenges?
Okay. Well, the question as like, I guess answering in terms of farming, I think the question is, why isn't everyone building tech like this? And I think the question is the business model hasn't necessarily served the tech because you have to have owners, users be owners in my estimation, for a co-op like this, for a company like this really to work. You need to have the farmers engaged and fully in cooperation and partnership with the company, so you have critical mass. We've seen a number of attempts at this, and if you have to get beyond a few hundred farmers, you have to have thousands of farmers. And I believe to actually do that, to have those deep relationships, to be able to scale, you have to have a model that farmers are really going to trust. So there, yeah, I mean, that's a good question, why we haven't seen this. I wish we already had this tool out there. Our farm would be using it. I mean, we're using Grown By this season, but yeah, I mean, I think that that's the main thing, is we, not just in agriculture, but generally, tech needs more co-ops. Tech needs more ownership by users, so we don't have these data issues, these privacy issues. It goes on and on and on, right? Like, this is a way of harnessing the power of technology and making sure that it's fair by giving users a real stake in the platform itself.
Thank you, Lindsay. I think, as you've well articulated, even someone with this incredible systems background, who's been working in farming, who's recognized, you know, the need as a farmer to go out and buid a software solution. This is really what the call to action is, right? We need kind of innovation happening across all spaces and places, and you've managed to build a number of different ones into this one. So thank you for giving everybody a sneak peek, and we will move on to our next. As we promised, it was going to be a fast and furious note-taking adventure. So we're going to actually pivot to a different kind of aggregator, and we're going to learn a little bit from one of our operators out of Northern California, Keller Crafted Meats. You're going to hear the story of Mark Keller and what he's been building here with humane scale ranching and with leading in the areas of, you know, ecology practices for animals.
Food is the great connector, linking together all life. Working across the West, I've seen that the way that we farm hurts our soils and plants. Americans are getting sicker. We are facing global climate change and are running out of time to heal our planet. My name is Mark Keller, and I founded Keller Crafted about 20 years ago with a simple mission: to use food and farming as a way to heal the relationship of humans to the land. Keller Crafted makes handcrafted meats, and all of our products show reverence to the animal, support human health, and improve the ecosystem. When we carefully match the right animals to the right land with the right soils and use the entire animal, we can farm in a way that restores Earth's balance. We call this regenerative farming, and it gives us healthier soils, healthier animals, better nutrition, and fights climate change. At Keller, we've built a network of farmers, producers, and consumers who share these values. Together, we're creating a thriving regional food economy and protecting regional food security, and we're just getting started. Over the next few years, we plan to be working with 5 to 10 times more farmers, farming regeneratively in our region alone. Together, we have the power to heal our bodies, our communities, and the earth. Come join us.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mark Keller, and I'm the founder and CEO of Keller Crafted Meats. We're an impact-driven meat company with a mission to create and sustain a farm-direct food chain that supports the most progressive farmers, regenerates the land, honors the animal, and nourishes our bodies. I have a degree in animal science with a minor in holistic resource management. I started Keller Crafted in 2001 with $15,000 and a relationship with one ranch. My wife and I are the sole owners, and we have no debt. Keller Crafted is operated by a kind, resourceful, and gritty 14-person team with over 200 years of combined meat experience. So we're veterans of the meat trade as well as innovators. You probably already heard that industrial farming plays a central role in harming our planet, stripping topsoil, filling our food and water with dangerous chemicals, and reducing nutritional values. The COVID pandemic has also uncovered how fragile our meat system really is. Food systems that focus only on efficiency are not resilient and will break down when crisis occurs. The result is work stoppages, animals euthanized, and grocery store shelves going bare. We started Keller Crafted in response to these challenges. We're doing our part by focusing on our 3 core tenets. Stewardship of the earth. We support farmers and business practices that reduce impact and even regenerate our environment. Nourishment for all. Our products promote nutritional well-being. Fairness for farmers. We create an alternative market for farmers outside the commodity system, 52 weeks a year, and we pay them on time. When I started my business, I saw that farmers markets always had the best quality product and the happiest customers. But there was not enough days in the week or farmers markets in the state to make it an efficient means to feed everybody. So I created a business that took the farmers market quality food and met the market where I believed it was heading. Keller Crafted produces and distributes fresh meat, charcuterie, and value-added products, from steaks to sausages to meal kit entrees. We have a line of award-winning products with more than 140 proprietary recipes and 400 SKUs in our pipeline. The meat industry is almost $1 trillion business, and the responsible protein sector is the fastest growing part of the industry. Consumer expectations are changing rapidly, and shoppers are more concerned about how their meat is raised, and they're much more willing to purchase their meat online. The responsible meat business is growing, but none of the players have the flawless transparency of sourcing and the whole system approach that Keller has developed over the last 20 years. Keller Crafted is set apart for our transparent regional sourcing, our hands-on experience, and our trusted leadership. We are committed to creating long-term win-win relationships with our farmers, a bulletproof reputation with our vendors, and a lasting connection with our customers. We do this by focusing on whole system wellness, including that of the farmers, the consumers, the animals, and our precious environment. We're obsessed with creating the highest culinary quality and the most transparent sourcing in the business. Keller has been a first mover on many of the sustainability markers over the years. We helped bring the first USDA organic beef to the California market in 1999. We were the first non-GMO project verified value-added meat processor in the United States. We pioneered sugar-free, paleo, and keto products that have been fueling performance and wellness communities since 2007. We made the O-list in Oprah magazine with our responsible hot dog. And now we are bringing the first Savory Global EOV hot dog to market in the coming months. EOV means Ecological Outcome Verified. We sell a majority of our products wholesale in California to 40+ online and brick and mortar grocers and food service customers, as well as our growing 430 Meat Club subscription members. Keller Crafted has grown steadily at an average rate of 19% growth per year, and we're 100% fueled by retained income. Since March, in the onset of the COVID pandemic, our month-to-month sales have increased by about 30%, but our gross margins have improved by about 52%. In the next 4 years, given the correct team, necessary resources, and infrastructure, I project Keller manifesting annual gross sales north of 20 million, with 40 to 50% of our revenue coming from our newly expanded direct-to-the-consumer channel. In the last year, we've doubled our meat subscription business and expanded the distribution area from California only to the Western 7 states with zero marketing. We are now looking for $5 million in investment to support us as we build our brand and assembled the skilled team to help us scale to 20 million and beyond. The long-term vision for Keller Crafted is to continue to build a profitable and resilient regional pipeline for regenerative agriculture and to create a better world for our children's children. So let's have some fun. Let's lead a meaningful life with evidence and come together and make some amazing food. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mark. And, you know, I always, one of the unique things about my job, if you want to call it that, is that I get to, you know, listen to and engage with entrepreneurs like Mark in early morning conversations and philosophize about life. And, you know, one of the things I've really enjoyed about building this relationship with you is just the dedication and focus you have to doing things, you know, the right way. And really with an emphasis on food as healing and on food as our medicine, which it is, which our earth is as well. So I was wondering if maybe you could talk a little bit about the ways that you're really addressing that with Keller Crafted, and why you feel like it's such a crucial part of the work you're doing as a meat company.
Thank you, Cesare. Yeah, food is medicine. And we all know the power of mom's chicken noodle soup and its nutritive effects, and how it was able to heal us when we were sick. I had the benefit of working at farmers markets for years and having people with autoimmune disorders, people that were literally had no other place to turn. Western medicine had failed them. And the food that we were selling at farmers markets, people would come in and embrace me because they were, you know, on death's door, and they were working to find a place, a way for them to live, to physically survive. And the most exciting thing right now is the fact that we have system wellness, where food can be the medicine, which I believe that what FS6 is all about, seeing food as the center point for environmental well-being, for human nutrition, and for our precious environment as well. So you know, food really is the medicine, not just for us humans. It's for our planet and for all the wildlife, and so how we approach food is very important to you know, how restorative you know, we can be toward the planet and every living being here.
Thank you. And you've been doing this work for a long time, as you've illustrated. You've been out there plugging away, working with new business models, you know, really trying to build a model that can build parity for regenerative ranchers in all reality. And so could you just talk a little bit about how, you know, the industry's changed over the last 20 years, and just what some of the insights you've seen and sort of how you're applying those to Keller?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so how the industry has changed. Well, when we first started out, there was no infrastructure for an alternative food chain whatsoever. There was no cold storage. There was no LTL shipping. Wasn't even a big thing. It was finding, you know, small places to do USDA processing was a problem. And so just the infrastructure, and also just the general knowledge about, you know, on the consumer side, what really wasn't there. So we had a lot of industry consolidation at the time. And so that, you know, that really led to, you know, a lot of, like, you know, kind of compliance changes where we have, you know, the rules that were being governed over the very large businesses were being applied to the smaller businesses. But, you know, we saw a lot of label changes. We saw, you know, natural and organic started coming out. And that was, you know, a really big kind of a breakthrough in label and in claims and in customer awareness. And now we're looking at, you know, throwing around terms like regenerative ag, and consumers really need to understand what that means. And it has to be authentic for us to make progress in our industry. You know, there is so much more awareness. I mean, we got a big shot in the arm with Mad Cow. Oprah, you know, really gave us a good push. Michael Pollan, a whole bunch of host of other people really brought together this awareness, but this critical education needs to happen. And that's really the next wave, you know, is consumer education and having them understand what regenerative agriculture and what sustainable really means, and what they can do and how they can vote with their dollars.
Thank you, Mark. I think, one of and just kind of watching the questions come in, which, I'm not ignoring, I want to address, and also this is a good we will have a conversation later in the week specifically with Mark, James, and Jacqueline getting into, some of the topics around the food system specifically. And I just want to kind of put this in that, we have Mark is, they're all working on this and in different ways, and these are very much systems problems, right? And we think it's a matter of having lots of different solutions, and all those solutions need to be stood up and operated. And, I think as we have one here, someone who's working on it, Mark, maybe you could just talk a little about the kinds of partners and supporters that you need at this stage, given that, you've built a successful company, right? You're at a place where you haven't taken on capital and you're really looking for not just an investor, but you're looking for a relationship. So maybe you could just talk a little about how you thought about the kind of support and partnership that you imagine is helpful to entrepreneurs at your stage.
Thank you for the question. The ultimate partner, well, we are a supply chain operator and we're an operations company. So sales and marketing and education is paramount really right now for us to be able to connect directly to the end consumer, which is where the education needs to be. And also knowing that it's tough. I mean, for us to utilize the current distribution models by being able to compensate the growers fairly while also competing with the retail price points. It's, we've really struggled with margins. And so in growing our direct to the consumer, we've built a strata, a baseline of wholesale, which has been so hard. It just takes time. That's what's taken the 20 years is, creating that baseline so we can get semi trucks in and out efficiently, and we can, send meaningful purchase orders to our farmers, and then they can build, many pallets worth of product so that can come back. But, we're looking for, partners that are really great with marketing, with sales, with, the COVID pandemic showed us that we are more than capable of handling operational fulfillment if we have the sales tension. And that's something that where we need help. So we're looking for mission aligned partner who understands that there's a biological cycle that we're working with, where they, if we want to see change, we need to work on Mother Nature's schedule. It's time clock, and anyway, and that's so that they understand that the value that we're about finance, yes, we're about making money, but we're here to help change the world and to make it a better place. We're looking to make some great food and keep it wholesome, and educating to consumers, directly to consumers.
Thanks, Mark. So I know we have a lot more questions for Mark, and there's a lot to ask. Again, we will have an extended conversation this Wednesday where we'll really dig into this topic and be able to kind of talk more broadly about regenerative agriculture, the whole system. As Caitlin points out, it really is the opportunities that we have to co-create and learn from people who are doing it, learn from people who are investing. And so that's really, what this conversation is it's that teaser to get your brain really going and flowing for some really meaningful and deep conversations the rest of this week, because we have to have them. We have to really find what it is that connects us to the food system, and we have to commit to collaborating and making change and finding places we can agree on to work together. We're going to keep on rolling, and we've got 3 entrepreneurs here to share a little bit more about their work. And as promised, it's truly just a teaser. And as you'll continue to hear, I mean, each of these entrepreneurs is just really has such a dynamic background, such diverse experience and expertise. And as you'll hear from our next entrepreneur, Anna Hammond with Matriarch Foods, you know, really come at this work from all different places and spaces. And, you know, that's one of the things about systems change is it really takes a lot of creativity and people willing to work across all of these, you know, fragmented, disparate, corrupted, and interesting and intriguing webs that we humans weave. So without further ado, I'm very happy and excited to hand it off to Anna and Matriarch Foods.
Our grandmothers were thrifty, resourceful, and strong. They knew how to make a lot out of a little, make food tasty and delicious, and they lived by the motto, fix it, don't toss it. We started Matriarch Foods to stop food from being wasted and to honor the resiliency and common sense of our grandmothers. In the US, there's a well-known burger chain that throws out 15,000 pounds of onion slices every week because they don't look Instagram perfect. And on an even larger scale, 20 million tons of vegetables never leave the farm because they don't look pretty in the supermarket or they don't fit perfectly in a box. That's insane. Matriarch is partnering with these companies and farms to build a better food system. We transform these perfectly good vegetables into a vegetable broth concentrate for schools, hospitals, food banks, and places that feed people every day on a large scale. We are determined to solve the problem of food waste, one of the largest emitters of greenhouse gases, and to create a world that will thrive for future generations. Every pallet of our vegetable broth concentrate diverts 1,500 pounds of vegetables from landfill and makes 80,000 servings of vegetable broth. Chefs love our product because it's easy to use, a delicious pantry staple, and it helps them achieve their sustainability goals. And the people they feed it to love it because it's healthy and it tastes great. At Matriarch, we are on a mission to feed our communities and protect our environment with the moxie and inventiveness that would make our grandmothers proud. Hello, I'm Anna Hammond, founder and CEO of Matriarch Foods. Before launching Matriarch Foods, I built a healthy eating program for youth and families living in New York City public housing. Part of that work focused on brokering relationships to get surplus food from farms into community centers and schools. Despite its market value, most of that surplus went to waste because there wasn't a visionary business model to preserve it. I founded Matriarch Foods in 2018 to create a profitable business to address the lack of access to healthy, affordable food I encountered working in public housing, to stop food from being wasted, and to create a revenue stream for farmers. Food waste dramatically increases global warming. In the United States alone, 10 million tons of perfectly usable vegetables never make it to market. 2 million tons of vegetable remnants go to landfill. Well, 117 million people have a diet-related illness. And during COVID, the rate of food insecurity for children has risen from 1 in 6 to 1 in 4. If food waste were a country, it would be the 3rd largest emitter of greenhouse gases. The challenge is not supply or demand. Millions of pounds of vegetables go to waste because they don't look pretty in a grocery store or they don't fit perfectly in a box. In addition, there are massive waste streams from fresh cut facilities. When you see a tray of celery sticks, imagine all of the celery that's not there. The problem is that there's a bottleneck in the food system. Capturing and preserving the extra and imperfect harvest is almost non-existent. During COVID, hundreds of thousands of pounds of produce have been tilled under, while lines for food banks extended for miles all over this country. Matriarch Foods has a solution, and it's already working. Matriarch has shown in just 2 years that it is possible to redirect farm surplus and waste streams at a massive scale into a product and profitably get that product to market. Matriarch Foods is successfully disrupting and transforming an important piece of the food system and creating a viable revenue stream. Our first product is Matriarch Foods Upcycled Vegetable Broth Concentrate. It's made with vegetable remnants, just like a homemade broth. It's shelf-stable, easy to use, a time saver, and helps institutions achieve their sustainability goals. And we've chosen to begin with food service. Why food service? Because food service is a $72 billion market, serving institutions where over 50% of all meals in the United States are consumed. $1 billion of that is spent on soups and sauces. Food service is ripe for interruption with products that both meet an increasing demand for better nutrition, as well as growing sustainability mandates driven by that consumer demand. Most of the competition's products are full of salt, extracts, and juice concentrates. Stacked up against the competition, our product has the health and environmental benefits that consumers are demanding. What we're doing is incredibly complex on one level, but incredibly simple on another. We source fresh cut remnants from large fresh cut facilities that were previously throwing out these usable ingredients. We source surplus vegetables from aggregators working with farmers to sell their imperfects. We process and package in recyclable cartons, and we sell through distributors to food service operators. Matriarch is a startup that already has national distributors. We launched our first product last September, and by April of this year, we started selling through Baldor Foods and US Foods. Opening orders were full pallets. I am an interdisciplinary leader with 25 years experience successfully building and leading organizations across various industries toward long-term and sustainable impact. My business partner is Joyce Wong, who has over 20 years experience in banking and business development. Before Matriarch, Joyce and I worked together building the public housing program for 6 years. Nothing stops us. In the last few weeks, as food service has started to come back, we opened 2 new accounts with 26 pallets of product. That not only reflects healthy revenue and serious market interest, those 2 sales alone diverted 40,000 pounds of vegetables from landfill. Margins are high, expenses are low. Matriarch Foods is looking for $600,000 from pioneering investors for a company that is filling a void in the marketplace and creating a valuable revenue stream while simultaneously driving social and environmental impact. So join us and be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. And, you know, as a recovered chef, I can say you're definitely addressing a much needed gap. Could you talk just a little, you know, about, you talked broadly about food service, but could you talk a little about really why you chose to enter the institutional food service market first and versus retail, where, you know, traditionally we see a lot of companies starting?
Hello, everyone. Answering the question about why food service. Matriarch Foods is part of a movement about impact, and we wanted to make the biggest possible impact on health and the environment as quickly as possible. And since food service is where 50% of meals in this country are eaten, it's also largely a captive audience that is in dire need of healthier food. So large purchase orders lead to large environmental impact, which accelerates sales numbers that will make this a strong, profitable, sustainable business. And just to illustrate that, 1,400 pallets of our concentrate divert entire waste streams of onions from 1 national restaurant chain, carrot remnants from 5 large fresh cut facilities, and celery tops from 2 large fresh cut facilities. That's at a $12 million business, diverting 6 million pounds of greenhouse gases and making 112 million servings of nutritious broth.
amazing. Anna, can you talk, I mean, you know, we at FS6 see hundreds and hundreds of products, innovations, concepts come through. You know, you're really kind of one of the only products in the market of your type right now. And you've been able to do so much right out the gate. You haven't been around for that long in this current company iteration. So it really seems like there's a lot of opportunity for growth, and you know, you've been just knocking down challenge after challenge. What do you need to actualize next steps? I think that's a kind of good thing to understand around some of the infrastructure challenges and things that are unique to this space.
Yeah, I mean, you know, one of the advantages of being an older entrepreneur is that you've built incredible relationships over a lifetime. And so, you know, I can't go through this presentation without sort of thanking all of the people, you know, over my entire career who I've been able to talk to, tap, brainstorm with. And, you know, obviously capital is key at this point in such an early stage business, but also food service is complex in terms of the acquisition of customers. So we're looking for partners and investors with relationships with universities, public-private hospitals, city agencies, food banks that are interested in new models of upcycling and food delivery, yeah, any kind of partners who are interested in getting healthier food to a lot of people in this country as quickly as possible.
Thank you. I'm going to pivot to Noel's question here in the chat and talk a little about the transport side of the supply chain. Could you talk a little about that? And, you know, they said thoughts on decentralizing production, reducing transport. I mean, I guess that's, you know, I'm throwing that up because I love hearing you talk about your thoughts around that. So please share.
Yeah, I mean, one of the kind of cool things about this business, I have to say, is that we're working with small to mid-scale farmers. There's a new several businesses focused on aggregating imperfects and surplus from farmers. And so we've been able to work with those businesses, you know, Hungry Harvest on the East Coast, Food Maven in Colorado, Full Harvest in California, really incredible businesses starting to work on B2B. And so we partner with them, but also we're getting the last mile out of vegetables. You know, when we work with fresh cut facilities, vegetables that are already, you know, grown, harvested, cleaned, transported. And the fresh cut facilities that we're working with are essentially throwing out money that they've already spent. So we aggregate with them in partnership with them. And, you know, and part of that is we'll be thinking about sort of, you know, the food processing bottleneck going forward, which is something I can talk about ad infinitum. But right now we're really looking at, you know, how we transport and aggregate against production, especially in the food remnant supply piece of the business.
So, I mean, you know, with that, like what really, as you're envisioning this, as you're envisioning a food system without food waste, like what are the barriers to getting there? How are you thinking of overcoming them? I mean, you've mentioned investors, but, you know, what are these like next step, you know, challenges and barriers that you're really seeing?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Matriarch has already proven that our business can make a significant impact on diverting vegetable waste from landfill. And we work with a mission-aligned co-packer that we can grow with. But fully overcoming these challenges nationally and globally is really going to take a robust network of nimble regional processing devoted to upcycling farm surplus and remnant waste streams and simplifying how food gets to people by realigning distribution dynamics. So the bottleneck is processing. So we've launched a collaborative project to investigate and design a solution to nimble regional vegetable processing that goes beyond our current business. We call it Matriarch 1, sort of like a spaceship, and it involves partnerships with engineers, logistics experts, farmers, and architects. COVID really has shown a Klieg light on the problems of food waste and hunger. And we were just awarded a ReFed COVID waste solution grant with Table to Table, which is a food bank in northern New Jersey, to pilot and prove out some of our first metrics around aggregating and processing with a local processor. We just delivered our first 8,000 units of upcycled vegetable stew made from farm surplus, working with Aero Farms and Bad Apple, two suppliers. And so that, you know, the issue is a significant piece of food waste is solvable through our business. And, you know, anyone who wants to work on partnerships around vegetable processing, we'd love to talk with you. I mean, obviously, there are other people in this cohort who are working very much on meat, on more regional meat processing, but there's a huge need in vegetable processing as well, and something that hasn't been looked at as much. But it really is, that's the solve, the ultimate solve to vegetable surplus and remnant streams not going to landfill.
Anna, thank you so much. As we could see, we could spend lots more time chatting, but I think this has been just a really helpful overview, introduction, and I hope folks will feel welcome to follow up with you. And please do, everyone. As Melissa said, we'll be sharing out a place you can get contact information and follow up for these deeper conversations. For me, I think 2020 is all about the C word, collaborations. It's something we might actually learn to do given the multiple crises we're in, and really that's kind of, I think, the call to action overall. So thanks, Anna, and we'll transition on to hearing from, keeping with the theme of collaborating and co-creating, transition to hearing more from one of our entrepreneurs who has been focused on, humane scale meat production, who's really been in the weeds and front line in terms of keeping people fed through this pandemic. So I'm going to pivot over and hear more from James with Revel Meats.
Growing up in the meat industry of New York City, I never imagined myself following in my father's footsteps. I worked in the restaurant industry for over 20 years until I had the opportunity to create Revel Meat Company, a USDA slaughterhouse that takes a new approach to rejuvenate our local food system. From the time the animals are unloaded at our facility, we take great care to ensure they can have a stress-free environment all the way through harvest. The heart of our uniqueness is our deep relationships with our ranchers. We only partner with ranchers that not only raise great animals, but are keenly focused on humane handling and truly giving back to the land we all depend on for our livelihoods. For example, Campfire Farms started processing with us a few years ago. We have been able to work hand in hand to streamline their process and open up sales channels for them. They've been able to double their herd and are continuing to grow, promoting the vitality of pastured pork in the Willamette Valley. Campfire is just one of dozens of ranchers and farmers who share our values of care for the animal and care for the land. Over the next several years, we aim to significantly grow the number of ranching partners in the region. Rebuilding a vibrant regional food system will take all of us working together to chip away at the industrial meat industry. Let us know how we can work together as we build a sustainable, regional, thriving food system. Hi, I'm James Serlin, the CEO and co-founder of Revel Meat Company. Revel is a USDA slaughterhouse and processing facility that offers Northwest ranchers humane slaughter and processing, while also partnering with select ranchers to sell meat under the Revel brand. There's a huge problem in our industry. The demand for local meat is outstripping supply, while small plants across the country are closing their doors. When these small plants close, ranchers are forced to travel extreme distances to find processing. And what we have left over when all of these small plants close down are industrial scale meat companies. Consolidation has created a very efficient but unbelievably fragile system that we all rely on for our food. And COVID has shined a spotlight on not only the unbelievably inhumane treatment of the animals in these plants, but also the working conditions for their employees. Revel is revitalizing regional processing infrastructure by implementing founder-friendly succession plans and using our playbook to create efficiencies throughout the plant. Our succession plan offers owners a successful exit without closing their doors. This not only increases supply of local meat in the region, but also promotes ranchers to raise animals using humane handling techniques and farming practices that give back to the land. And what we've noticed over the last few months is that our solution is multifaceted and resilient to shifts in the market. There are over 600 small to mid-sized plants in the country, most of which are being run in a way that is not scalable, economical, or viable. These plants are run by beyond retirement age owners, which creates a ripe roll-up opportunity in this market. Revel has a proven business model for making these small plants economically viable, and what we've found is that we are quick to pivot, unlike the giants in the market. Also, by using existing infrastructure, it mitigates startup costs and helps us move quickly through the process of opening a new plant. This is a niche market that is being underserved while demand skyrockets. We offer the best beef, pork, and lamb from local ranchers, while also offering a whole line of artisanal value-added products like hams, bacons, and fresh and smoked sausages. Our plant is certified organic, GAP certified, and also animal welfare approved. There are many other companies in the market, most of which either focus on replication and market share or quality and traceability. But Revel takes a holistic approach to this disjointed system. We are implementing a strong processor takeover strategy while also partnering with the best ranchers to create a line of products that is not only of the highest quality, but also maintaining full traceability back to the ranch. We're proud of what we've done over the past 3 years. We've implemented the most robust humane handling plan in the Northwest. We've assisted Campfire Farms to triple their herd in just 2 years, while also opening up some sales channels for them in the Portland market. And last but not least, we have 10x revenue in just 3 years. Our historical data shows top-line growth year over year. With investment, we will be able to increase our net profit margin to almost 30% while continuing to grow it as we scale. In summary, we've purchased a USDA processing facility. We've partnered with ranchers to raise animals under the Revel brand. And by using our relationships to restaurants and retailers, we have been able to expand market access for our ranching partners. Also, we have created strong retail partnerships that expand our reach throughout the Northwest. Our team is deeply rooted in food, farming, and processing. And me, I was born into it. I grew up in New York. My father owned and operated a USDA processing facility in the meatpacking district of New York for over 40 years. After spending a career in the restaurant industry, it feels natural to have returned to the meat industry. We are raising $1.5 million in capital to increase our throughput and prove out our replication strategy. With this investment, we will be able to act like a large plant when it comes to workflow while maintaining the Revel ethos, ranchers first. Join us in revitalizing our local food system. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you so much, James. Before I launch in, I'll make sure that we have you, and then I will start with my first question.
Here, can you find me easier if I'm talking?
There it is. Yeah, it makes it easier. Thank you.
No problem.
Well, it's fun that you know, I just want to let the audience know that you really changed up your background just for them. And usually when we're having these calls, James is in the, you know, front end of a pack house, and you know, he's got his partner company next door, Milk Run, operating in the background and just food cranking out. And so, you know, I think people ask what's different about our work as an accelerator, and you know, it's that we work with butchers and farmers and producers and, you know, people who are just on the ground making this happen, and who are in the slaughterhouses and on the fields. And so, James, thanks for taking the time today, literally out of what is normally just a crazy day of tasks that you have to get through. We all seen the headlines, but could you just talk a little bit about how your operation is different from large slaughterhouses that we've been hearing about that are, you know, shutting down and continuing to have issues based on, you know, especially the pandemic?
Sure, I'd love to. To be completely honest, we are at such a different scale from these large processors that it almost seems as if we're a completely different industry. You know, we run a team right now of about 20 people. We're one up, one down as far as animals go. And it really gives us the opportunity to take the care and the time and everything we need to make sure that we're putting out a superior product. Some of the larger plants, you know, across the country process over 350 animals an hour. You know, we maybe do 20 or so beef in a day. It's just completely different. That also kind of lets us make sure that we're not only taking enough time to really humanely handle the animals that are coming through our plant, but also giving our employees really safe working conditions. Through COVID, we've been really lucky and really focused on keeping our teams safe. We've been unbelievably busy through all of this, but have really strived to keep everyone at a 40-hour work week and give them enough space in between them and other coworkers to ensure that we can keep doing what we're doing and keep, you know, giving the opportunity to the ranchers that we work with to get food through our plant and into the market. Great.
Well, you just, you know, mentioned, I think, a massive differentiator, which is that you actually care about the people who are working with and for you, and you're making sure that you're creating an incredibly safe space for them. And so thank you for prioritizing that. I think diving in a little further on the other side, could you talk a little just about the upstream effects that, you know, Revel being available in your area has on the farms that you work with? And just, you know, what it means to have a local processor in a local market like Revel?
Sure. Well, we are a USDA plant, so our grant of inspection, when we process animals for different ranchers and stuff like that, our grant of inspection allows them to sell to restaurants across state lines, direct to consumer via online channels, at farmers markets, all those sorts of things you can't do unless you have USDA inspection on your products. So that being one, but we also have really strived to work with specific ranchers who are doing a really excellent job at humanely handling their animals and using great farming practices and giving back to the land. We've really strived to help them out with market access into Portland and Seattle and the surrounding areas. Probably our greatest example of that is Greg Reven. He raises all the hogs that we use for the Rebel Meat Company brand. And he is a 4th generation hog farmer. He runs an unbelievable program. He farms 400 plus acres of grain to make the feed for these animals, but he is not a salesman. He will tell you that himself. So what we've been able to do there is just let him focus on what he's really great at, which is raising hogs. And he comes once a week and brings us animals and walks away. We kind of take care of all the other pieces that make it successful for him to be able to keep doing what he's doing. And we try to do that with all the ranchers that we work with, you know, really lend a hand in any way we can. Some ranchers are, you know, more personable and more out there in the community and might have Instagram or other social networks that they work through. But whether they do or not, I think Rebel's there to help them gain access to the market and help them, really show the community what they're doing.
Awesome, thank you. And I kind of want to combine a little bit of an audience question with, this question as well. But, I mean, most slaughterhouse owners, anybody has dug in a bit to the statistics, which, just in general, small scale slaughterhouse access has been, really stripped down. And talking about the fact that, farmers in general, but most slaughterhouse owners are over the age of 65. And, you are leading the way and showing how, the next generation, how young owners can transition. And so can you talk a little more about both the family-friendly succession plan that you've sort of run and implemented here at Revel, and then also just talk a little about, other young people wanting to enter this industry? You're building a market-specific solution, you're building a model. What do you have to say to others that are thinking about this and what the opportunities are?
Sure, I'd love to. We usually talk about our succession plan as a founder-friendly succession plan, but it really is a family-friendly succession plan as well. On the founder-friendly side of things, we have created a long-term note with the previous owners of the plant that ensures that, a company like Revel Meat Company is not overspending capital over the first years of them starting a business. But also on the other side of that, it gives the previous owners a really solid month over month income from that note as well. It's not the easiest succession plan to put in place. There's a lot of trust that goes into it. It took us a long time to get there, but we've learned a lot over the last couple of years of really implementing that. And as far as more people wanting to get into this industry, yes, please, more. Unfortunately, we've seen an unbelievable decrease in the amount of USDA or small USDA slaughterhouses in this country over the last decade or so. I think anyone we could get on board to do this, it's not the prettiest, easiest, whatever you want to call it, work in the world, but it's unbelievably meaningful. We have a great kind of time dealing with and working with ranchers hand in hand. Also, I come from the restaurant industry, so kind of turning around on the other side and having that wholesale and retail arm has been really exciting for us. And it is proven that it has kept us really nimble, especially through COVID and all the things that have kind of happened over these last few months. But one tip, find a business partner that is really good at welding and electrical work, because you're going to need it. I found one. And also look for an existing facility. There are a lot of small USDA facilities that are on the brink of closing. There are a lot of custom facilities that might have been USDA at one point that could easily be transitioned back. I mean, we're talking about spending $500,000 or $800,000 to take over a plant compared to $3 to $5 million to build one of the same size new. There is a lot to be said for taking over existing infrastructure in this industry.
Couldn't agree more. And I appreciate so much. I think this comes up a lot, and I see this a lot, is the sort of the recovering chef narrative. It's like we don't ever fully recover, we just find 100 other things to take on. And so thank you for taking on these 100 things. And as a reminder, we'll get to dig in a little bit more with James, with Mark, and with Jacqueline on Wednesday with just kind of a deeper conversation about, slaughter, regenerative meat, just broadly the industry. But for now, we are going to head off to listen to our 6th entrepreneur. For those of you who haven't, had a lot of experience or interactions with us at Food System 6, we're really looking for entrepreneurs that are focused on addressing impact across a number of different areas and working, with a ton of different types of solutions, as we've clearly already seen. But Vibrant farms, sustainable ecosystems, healthy people, justice and fairness. These are really core indicators that help to create the container for which we look at solutions. And you know, as we hear from the last entrepreneur of this conversation today, you know, I think the conversation around healthy people and how we need to really be building businesses that are serving us, that serve our communities, and hearing from, you know, an entrepreneur who has used really one of the age-old practices of bringing people together, which is baking and breaking bread. So it's really cool to see how you can take all these impact areas and honestly just build an absolutely phenomenal business. And when you really do the work to care about the people and to care about the land and to honor the systems, you can actually make some really good money too. So we're going to hear some success stories and hear a little bit about Matt and Firebrand Breads.
Working in bakery since I was 14 years old, I've really been fortunate enough with not only the idea of service and craft, it was really the people that worked in the food service industry that I fell in love with. But I always found that jobs tended to leave people kind of hanging in their positions and didn't provide a lot of growth and a lot of opportunity. Through the craft of baking, Firebrand focuses on hiring people who are formerly incarcerated or formerly homeless to provide good jobs, helping to break the cycle of recidivism that steals 70% of people being released from prison from our communities.
I'm learning something new every day. I just love working here. I needed a job. I needed to stay off the streets. I was homeless.
We don't believe you should be known for the worst thing you've ever done in your life, and that it is our job to ensure that everyone gets a fair chance to be their best selves.
Hello, my name is Matt Kreutz. I am the CEO and founder of Firebrand Artisan Breads, based here in Oakland, California. Firebrand is a mission-based bakery that focuses on hiring people who are formerly homeless, formerly incarcerated, or otherwise have barriers to employment. I'm fortunate that with my first job 25 years ago, when I was 14 years old, I was fortunate to fall in love with the food service industry and with the baking industry that I've been in for the past 25 years. In 2008, Firebrand started. We have yearly revenue of $5.2 million and 65 full-time employees operating a retail and wholesale facility in Uptown Oakland. Firebrand's come a long way over the past 12 years. From 2009, 2011, we were homeless, sleeping in the bakery, trying to make it work, to 3 months ago, closing a $9.5 million fundraising round that allow us to add a 40,000 square foot spot in Alameda to not only expand our product line, but also expand the mission work that we do. Firebrand is looking today for strategic partnerships around board members, advisory council members, or strategic advisors around operations, strategy, mission work and impact, supply chain help, or wholesale connections that help us get our product out there into the marketplace. Firebrand's mission is to create a more just and equitable workplace, shared value, and thriving communities through the craft of baking. We do this using our wraparound service model and open hiring method. This open hiring method means that we don't have job applications and we don't take resumes. We believe that if you're looking for a chance, you come through the doors of Firebrand, that it's our job to give you the skills and training that you need in order to become the next leader that our communities will need to help thrive. In the state of California, if you're just getting out of prison, there is a 70% chance that you will be back into the criminal justice system within 3 years. Firebrand has seen that there's 3 key ingredients in order to lowering the recidivism rate by 20%. That is partnering with good pre-release services, partnering with good post-release services, and then providing good jobs to people looking for a chance. Our good jobs look something like this. In our new space, we'll be upping the average wage. We'll be adding a 401k program, profit sharing program, as well as childcare subsidies and commuter benefits to help people show up and be their best selves at work. We'll also be adding a worker resource center. This will be the hub of our wraparound service model. This will allow us to provide financial sovereignty training, GED classes, legal aid, ESL classes, and soft skills training to people who are looking for more skills in order to better themselves. Firebrand's core products are our wood-fired breads, our European-style pastries, as well as our hand-shaped pretzels. We deliver to 175 accounts throughout the Bay Area 7 days a week. About 20% of what we do is through our retail cafe, and 80% of what we do is to these wholesale accounts throughout the Bay. We have a number of opportunities that we are looking to take advantage of right now. We are currently booked up on space and don't have any more production capacity, and a lot of opportunities coming up with Whole Foods. Whole Foods is looking for us to take over all the pastries in their coffee bars. I'll add a premium donut line to all stores in Northern California region, as well as take over all the breads and all the deli cases in the Northern California region. We're also launching a new line of 6 SKUs of sliced packaged bread that will be across the country in the next 3 years. This will be the only product on the market that is 100% organic, non-GMO, 100% whole grain, and all based on sourdough starters. This will allow us to have a yearly revenue this year of 5.2, growing to almost $90 million in the next 5 years across all of our channels. Firebrand's leadership team is seasoned, having gone through expansion with us before in 2015 and been with me anywhere from 2 to 10 years. Firebrand is definitely looking for partners, so if you're looking to help a mission-based bakery, looking to give people a good opportunity who are formerly homeless or formerly incarcerated and can help out, we are definitely looking to talk to you. Thanks so much.
All right, well, you know, it's hard to say anything following that, but Matt, are you with us?
Oh, hello. How you doing, Jezra?
Hey there. Well, thank you for you know, sharing that overview and for taking the time to join us all today. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the employee profit sharing model that you've built, why you decided to do this, and just kind of a little bit about the back end in terms of how you've been able to implement that in the term of your fundraise.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important for us that if you're working at Firebrand, you understand how your work translates to the bottom line and how all being able to trace what you do to the P&L and understanding how you can see exactly what I see. So full transparency in that P&L. I mean, I think we just are rolling out open book management for the rest of the staff. And I really think it's important that, and I always say that everybody who works at Firebrand makes more important financial decisions than I do every day. It's, you know, everything people do impacts the bottom line, but it's about us training them to understand how they can move the needle on that, how they can make us more profitable. And then if we're more profitable, then they could be more profitable, and how we can kind of work together to create a win-win model, kind of operationally and on the ground. And then through our last fundraise we kind of cemented a profit sharing program within the fundraise where we basically transitioned to a steward ownership model where I transfer 51% of my shares of the company into a trust, which functionally represents the employees. So any dividends that the company receives in perpetuity, 90% of them go to the staff. So we also kind of enshrined it operationally with open book management and legally within this last fundraising structure as well.
Great, thank you. I do look forward to when we can actually write some sort of very short case study that we can put out there to provide a roadmap for other folks to follow. You touched on it a little, but you know, you've had tremendous impact creating support, and honestly, just being an investor, you've invested significantly in your people. I was wondering if you could just talk a little about creating that positive work environment for formerly incarcerated folks, and you know, just some of the things some of the human-to-human elements that you've done in your business that have enabled you to be successful.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, my mom was in and out of jail growing up, and I think we Just working in the food service industry again, kind of like James and you, Cesare, since I was 14, and just seeing kind of people come in and out of the food service industry. I've always wanted to kind of foster an environment where we could have fun, we could work hard, and we could also bring our whole selves to work. And we really wanted to be a company that allowed people to bring who they are to work. And that means everything, all the little bits of their personality and their backgrounds, and it not be a thing. It just is. It is who they are, and we can kind of accept them for who they are and integrate that too, because there's a lot of aspects of people's personality that people may think of as a negative, but actually adds a huge amount of value and added not only culture benefit, but skill benefit to the company. And I think it's really our job to bring that out and to learn more about people, to really kind of allow people to come in and be integrated and add to the company. So I think it's always been really important for us that, like, we've never really cared about people's backgrounds, but we always cared if you're a good person. You know, I've got 65 people here who are like pretty phenomenal people. They're all really solid. And so I think that's been our most important thing, because, you know, if you're open to learning, I could teach you anything. We could teach you how to bake. But if you're not open to learning, you don't want to, you don't want to play nice in the sandbox, and we can't really do anything for you at Firebrand. So that's what it's really been about for us, not kind of, oh, I've been working at this place for 20 years. It's like sometimes those people aren't the best people for Firebrand. So I think we've always wanted to be able to invest in people and try to bring as much as we can out and allow them to bring everything to the table for us. I think we do that, like, we have the kind of open hiring model. So we don't have job applications, we don't do resumes. We don't even really do sit-down interviews. So we bring people in and we put them on the table, and we kind of do working interviews, get them to learn the team learns about them, get them to ask a lot of questions, and kind of get to know them a little bit more, rather than some kind of like canned, rehearsed kind of resume pitch that tends to happen, where you don't really learn anything. We've kind of found that kind of bringing people in and kind of, you really see a lot more of them that way. And that also allows people to kind of not have to kind of be like kind of removes a lot of nervousness and whatnot from the equation as well.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much. I think you sort of just you basically just laid out the FS6 thesis, which is why we work so well together. You know, bring your whole self, bring it all, and you know, let's find the things that we can do together. And I appreciate how well you've done that, and also just thinking about, you know, you've just closed the round. You're making incredible investments, not only in the people you work with, but in the community of Oakland. You know, you've really built this place and space. So tell us more about, you know, how people can invest in you, Matt, and, you know, more into really what you're looking for, which I think is such an incredible and unique opportunity, especially as an investor, because you don't often have an entrepreneur say, hey, it's good, I've raised the money I need. I actually need, you know, I need your heart, I need your mind, I need your engagement. So tell us more about what you're looking for on that side.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're looking for, you know, board members, strategic advisors, people who can help on the mission and impact side of things. It can help the company just grow operationally. People who could help around finances, but really trying to build out a network of support around these areas that allow the company to kind of grow and enter a lot of new territory for us. You know, I mean, every day is Firebrand's a company that's bigger than I've ever worked at. And so it's kind of like, we're always trying to learn and grow and develop, and every day is better than the next. So anybody who can kind of help push the company forward operationally, financially, from a mission perspective, we're looking to talk to.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Matt. All right, well, perhaps you feel like today's presentations have been a blur, much like this year, but we're all here, we're together, you made it, we're leaning in, and I just thank you all for taking the time to learn more about these amazing entrepreneurs who are stewarding a lot of really incredible innovations. I really want to just a few notes of thanks and gratitude. Appreciate you all for joining. I know time being what it is, and especially the endless calls and video conferences, it's a lot right now. And I hope that you are all finding, you know, ways to care for yourself. We'll have some opportunity to connect and build community, kind of following me rambling a bit more at you. But I really hope that everybody is finding the time to just make for some self-care. It's incredibly important, and with all that is happening, with the urgency that we feel, just taking the moments to ground and center. And for me, that's gratitude. So I want to express a huge amount of gratitude to Sarah and Carrie at RFSI. They're super stellar partners. Our team, Melissa Perry, Julianne Rajal, and Meredith Fenton, who's our storytelling coach, which we have, a full-time story coach. Peter and Renska, they're co-founders. They're also our partners through First Course Capital and have offered a safe note to all of the companies who come through our program, which is just a really unique way to deploy capital and remove barriers. They also offer pro bono time back, which is huge. As you can see, all of these entrepreneurs are really looking for just collaborators, insights, thought partners, and just want to, again, thank all of you for joining us. If you're interested in following up directly with the innovators, we will host their contact information. We've built out some tear sheets on our website, and we'll provide the URL in the chat function, so you'll be able to follow up, contact them directly. And if you think our work is important at FS6, please consider supporting us. I'm an entrepreneur, and we work relentlessly to raise funds to support these companies. We welcome all forms of capital, community collaborators. So please reach out to me if you'd like to talk about that. And I think from here, I'll hand it over to Sarah and just say thank you all.
All right, thank you, Cesare. We definitely share your gratitude for this community here today and for our partnership with you and your team at FS6. This has been wonderful. And oh my goodness, what an incredible group of entrepreneurs and body of work you guys shared today. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful and impactful partner. And thank you to the Cohort 5 entrepreneurs for inspiring us with all of their ingenuity today. A reminder, Cesare just said this, but just to say it one more time, if you would like to set up a conversation with any of the FS6 Cohort 5 entrepreneurs, please use the contact form on the slide. I believe it's on the slide that's being shared right now. It's also in the chat function. So if you scroll up, you'll be able to find that link and copy and paste it. And you can go there right now and sign up to meet with them.